Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Jake Levine. I'm joined by Mackenzie Freeman and Drew Maurer. And Sean Smith is not with us today, but we do have a nice picture of Sean holding the NIT trophy.
Sean
How about
Smith.
that? Sean, we love you, buddy. Sean and Jazz were in Vegas for the game, so it's just going to be us three. We're going to start out by talking about this run that UNT basketball had to end this season. Guys, how about this NIT? I mean, they started out with a 69-53 win over Alcorn State, followed by a 20-point win over Sam Houston State, and then an overtime win in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. We're talking Power 5 school there. Another Power 5 win in Vegas over Wisconsin by 2. And then, of course, last night, the 7-point win over the UAB Blazers. Guys, first of all, what did we think about last night? Mackenzie?
I mean, it was great going in, playing UAB, a team that, knocked us out of the CUSA tournament, but then we got on a bigger and brighter stage, and we knocked them off when it counted. So I was really proud of the Mean Green for that.
Yeah, definitely. Drew?
It was almost like we took a different approach. I mean, we jumped out to a really hot start, then we cooled off a little bit. It was like the opposite of the CUSA tournament. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
But we started to come back. We held Jordan Walker in check to an extent. Forced 5 turnovers out of him. I know he had 21 points, right? But you can't stop Jelly Walker.
Right.
But yeah, I thought the way they jumped out, they took care of it. It wasn't always pretty, but they got business done, and that's how they won the game.
Right.
Absolutely. And let's jump back to this UNT versus Wisconsin game that got them to the championship. They won by 2 in a nail-biter.
Yeah.
They did not allow any points in the last 9 minutes of the basketball game.
I mean, there's a reason we're the #1
Of
defense
course.
in the nation.
And it shows,
So,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it shows. Wisconsin shot only 37% from the field, 32% from beyond the arc. And UNT, I mean, they just continue to get it done in this game. Drew, what was your original thoughts on the UNT-Wisconsin game in the semifinal?
I mean, I was considering turning the game off at that point. Right? Like it was, we were down we were down double digits, and it was like, are we going to come back from this? And we ended up going back. I mean, I think you got to give it up to new head coach Ross Hodge. I think he came up with a lot of good defensive schemes that really worked in the late game situation.
Yeah.
And like you said, we held them to no points in 9 minutes. That's unreal. That is just incredible. That's unheard of. So I think the willingness and the will to win, as well as the schemes that Ross Hodge brought in, I think that's what really ultimately won UNT the game. And we saw they beat UAB the last time, so 3 out of 4 against UAB. That's incredible. But I think Wisconsin, that's the game where you really thought this team is going to win the NIT.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mackenzie, what won this game for UNT?
I'm going to have to go with the defense as well. Hepburn for Wisconsin, he popped off in the first half from beyond the arc and just, being a facilitator of the ball. But then we adjusted after the half. We put Huntsberry on him instead of Tyler Perry. And I think coming out of halftime, that was a really good adjustment.
Yeah.
And so I have to give credit to the defense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way that UNT played against Wisconsin in the second half defensively, they only allowed 13 points in the second half, but 41 in the first half. This seemed like kind of a theme, right, guys, throughout the season? A lot of times UNT would do this. First half, they give up a lot. Then going to halftime, this defense just comes out stifling. You guys think this is like a coaching thing, Mac?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like our players get in their heads a little bit, and then they get that motivational halftime speech. Grant McCaslin, toughest team wins. Y'all get in there, and then But some games you're on, some games you're off, and I think having that backbone of defense is really the reason we made it as far as we did this season.
Yeah. Drew, what boosts this defense the second half consistently?
Yeah, I think something I noticed was the Badgers bench when it combined 1 for 10 in the entire game. The entire bench went 1 for 10. That's horrible. That is just so there's that, but I also feel like going back to what you said about why did UNT go cold for long periods of time. Sometimes I feel like the other team switches up their defense, and UNT gets confused.
Yeah.
I almost feel like the Mean Green, they get a little out of rhythm, but then they get back into rhythm, and I think that's kind of what happened against Wisconsin was at the beginning of the second half, or excuse me, at the end of the first half, they started to get off, they got off a little bit because the defense was switching up.
Right.
And then in the second half, they kind of, like you said, the backbone of their defense, but they also, I think, started to adapt to the Wisconsin's defense.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of something that I've noticed from UNT is that they've struggled with, is really adapting to defenses. And, the other team will double Tyler Perry, and then he has nowhere to go. He gets trapped on the outside by the baseline. Like, there's just times where you look and you see Perry or Huntsberry, whoever's bringing up the ball, it almost seems like they're getting overcrowded by the defense and they don't know what to do in the situation. So I think, like you said, having that backbone of defense kind of eliminated that.
Definitely. And so now we have to talk about this championship game from last night. UNC Mean Green pulled out a 68-61 win over the UAB Blazers. That means they've won 3 out of 4 games against these Blazers this year.
Yep.
The one that they lost was an almost incredible comeback. They started down, 22-2 over in Frisco in that conference tournament game. But UNT shot 10% better than UAB. They didn't shoot better than them on threes, nor free throws. I mean, guys, what changed this game? Why did UNT pull away with a 7-point win, Mac?
Honestly, Drew kind of hinted towards this towards the beginning of this segment, but UNT started this game fired up.
Right.
You know, our offense looked smooth. It looked like we were playing with rhythm. All the guys were on the same page. And then that second half, they were doubling Tyler Perry, getting him stuck. We had a little bit of turnovers there, but we were able to, pull out the win.
Mm-hmm. I think something to testament as well is Perry had 5 steals, guys.
Yeah.
Perry and Huntsberry combined for 41 total. Great performance from our guard combo, but he had 5 steals. 5.
Yeah.
Against one of the better players, arguably, statistically in D1 basketball. So I think there's a testament to the defense and the scrappiness, not even just from our defensive stalwarts like Aaron Scott, who I feel like had an excellent game defensively, but even from guys like Tyler Perry getting 5 steals, that's awesome.
Yeah. And how about this defense again? I mean, they held UAB to 35% from the field, but UAB got to the line 31 times.
Yeah.
They made 24 of them. Okay, not bad. UAB only had 8 assists as a team.
Wow.
We've seen probably Tyler Perry have more than 8 assists in a game, probably several times this year. Jelly Walker shot 6 for 14, 21 points, I believe 6 assists as well. So he pretty much accounted for all of this team's baskets if you count points and assists together. I mean, how does that happen if you're an offensive team? You pride yourself on your pace of play. You average 80-something points a game as an offense. Drew, tell me how UAB just cannot find other guys to get the ball to.
Well, Buffin was the only other Blazer besides Jordan Walker in double digits.
Yeah.
Everyone else had single digits, and they were missing shots. I think UAB, for whatever reason, came out with this. Their formula was Jordan Walker, and that's it. They didn't really have a game plan besides that. You hope he makes shots, right? Against us in this USA tournament, he exploded for 30-plus points. But then when he can't make every shot because of the defense of the Mean Green playing on him, they don't have anywhere else to go. I mean, Buffin had, I believe Buffin only had 11 points. It wasn't like, everyone else was trying their hard. Like, they weren't even distributing. It was just Jordan Walker. Right? And so I think their problem is that they rely too much on Jelly Walker. And so, you need to distribute the ball a little bit. I really think they need to kind of take some pressure off Jelly and then distribute to the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give credit to Sissoko and how he's been in this postseason. He's definitely stepped it up. You look at Usman's matchup against Jemison, and it just, Usman's not as strong as Sissoko, and Sissoko's going in here. He's getting rebounds. He, played great defense up against Stephen Crowell in Wisconsin, and then we get to the UAB game, and he carried it over. So I think he's been overlooked, but you really have to give credit to him in this postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And UNT really saw a domination from this entire starting lineup. You said TP and Kai combined for 41.
That's incredible.
But that leaves, 27 other points to cover. We got Sissoko, Ruben Jones, Aaron Scott contributing. Who do you guys think was the biggest role player in this game aside from TP and Kai?
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to go with Aaron Scott.
Yeah,
he was very effective in this game. And he was one of the players that shined when we played UAB the last time.
Yeah. Drew, who's your role player?
100% agree. Aaron Scott was the X factor. He was the heart and soul of this team. 14-7, incredible.
Absolutely. And so when we come back, we're going to recap this UNT season and talk about just how great it was. So stay right with us.
Are you okay in there? You look terrible. Have you been up all night? Don't you know that according to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, staying up all night can have a negative effect on your GPA?
Sleep?
Yeah, go to bed.
Man, I have all these non-perishable food items, and I don't know what to do with them.
I don't have any food at all.
Do you have too many non-perishable goods?
Yeah.
Have you run out of food and can't get any more?
Yeah.
Well, don't have a cow. Head on down to the UNT Food Pantry. Located behind Crumley Hall and Diamond Eagle Student Resource Center, the Food Pantry is the place for UNT students to get all the food they need. You'll be utterly surprised by all the options they have there. From gluten-free to lactose intolerant, even vegan and vegetarian, they have it all. Go to studentaffairs.unt.edu/food pantry for more information.
Move on down to the UNT Food Pantry.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. We're going to recap this season by the North Texas Mean Green and talk about, guys, what a season.
What an
Yeah,
incredible
I
season.
mean,
Incredible.
Is it safe to say this is the best season in UNT basketball
I think
history?
so.
Yeah?
I do. I mean, we've made it to March Madness, but I think winning the NIT for the first time in school history, I think we have to give credit to this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew, best season in history?
I think it is, but it hurts me to say because last season I thought was going to be the best season in history,
Right.
right? Like the team last season was perfect. I mean, you had Perry coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how good that team
Right.
was,
Right.
right? You had Thomas Bell and those guys. Like it pains me because I thought that team was going to do so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I really thought, but you know, consolation prize being a 31-7 season, second in
Yeah.
Conference USA, only to FAU, who's in the Final Four.
Right.
So, I
Exactly.
mean, pat on the back for that, right?
Absolutely. And this team finished 31-7. It's the most wins ever, first 30-win season ever. I mean, they broke this record way before the NIT.
They beat their
Yeah.
own record.
Yeah.
They hit 25 wins and then
Yeah, we kept
Right?
seeing these
Just
posts,
win,
new
win.
record, new record,
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
record.
week after week.
Absolutely. Tyler Perry won USA Player of the Year, stole it from Jelly Walker.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of, they played UAB 4 times, beat in 3 of them. 2 of these losses are really close against FAU. I feel like if you
Right.
don't lose those, you're in at large.
Yeah.
In the NCAA tournament, we could say they should have been at large.
Yeah.
Regardless,
Anyway, yeah.
with what FAU's doing. But I think it's safe to say this is, in my opinion, the best season in UNT basketball history.
No doubt.
Anyways, we have some other news to talk about. Not so great. Grant McCaslin took a job to be the head coach at Texas Tech University, 6 years, $18 million. Guys, initial reactions.
Obviously, it's sad to see him go. You look at everything that he's done at UNT, taking them to March Madness, getting them into the NIT for 2 consecutive years, the best season we've ever had. It's sad to see him go, but he's got a great contract over at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So part of me is proud that he was able to come in to UNT, change the basketball culture here, and it's sad to see him go, but I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, Drew.
I think I've coped with the loss at this point. Most wins in CUSA history, in school history, but at what cost, right?
Right.
We knew McCaslin was gone. We knew he was gone for. It had been talked about for a while
Right.
now.
Right.
You know, we knew. But what I'm really, wanting to find out is who are we going to lose, right?
Right.
There's going to
Right.
be some guys that are going to go with him, and I want to know who.
Right.
You look at Texas Tech's squad, and they've got a good squad. I worry that we might lose Tyler Perry. He's got 1 more year of eligibility, but they've got Davion Harmon over there, a DFW guy. Went to Denton Geyer. So you wonder who is going to go with him, who's going to get playing time. I assume maybe Aaron Scott will probably go with them.
Right.
But that's the part, because we've already coped with the loss of McCaslin. But who are we going to lose, right?
Right.
Who are we
Yeah.
going to lose on the team? That's the big question mark that I think is kind of haunting us right now is what players are we going to have to cope with losing?
Right.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of overlooked that a lot. You know, this roster could look very different
look very
next year.
A
However,
very young team.
yes,
Absolutely.
it'll be interesting. And some of those recruits they've had coming in been looking really good. We'll see what happens with them too.
Right.
But new head coach already announced. It's gonna be Ross Hodge, 5-year contract to be head coach. Current assistant, guys, what do you think about this hire?
I'm actually really excited. You look at what all Ross Hodge has done in his career. He's a great leader. Not only was he a great leader as a coach, but even when he was playing back in college, He won 2 leadership awards, one in 2003, one in 2001. And then he was the Colorado State lead recruiter. So that's going to help bring in players, especially after, Grant McCaslin's gone. We don't have the appeal that Grant McCaslin was able to bring here. But I think Ross Hodge will be very good for this UNT program.
Yeah, Drew, what do you think about Ross?
I agree. I mean, I mentioned him earlier. I think he's part of the reason that this defense is so good, right? He's fiery, he's intense, and I think that he's going to provide. He's completely different from Coach McCaslin, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
we're going to see a completely new type of leadership, and it's going to be interesting to see how these guys react to it. But yeah, like I said earlier, I think he's part of the reason that this defense is so good,
Right.
So I'm really excited to see how that translates when he becomes the head coach, and how much of that was really him rather than McCaslin, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't really know. Truly, you don't really know. But it looks like at times that Ross Hodge was sort of the brains behind the defense, and so you really want to know if that translates to him being as a head coach.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It definitely will be interesting. Ross Hodge has been here since March of 2017. He knows all of Grant's schemes.
Right, exactly.
He's been here just for that amount of time. 146-24 record as a former head coach
That's insane.
at JUCOs.
Wow.
Right.
Do you guys think that head coaching experience at JUCOs, I want to say this again, 146 wins and 24 losses.
That's crazy.
Do you guys think that can translate to UNT basketball next year, Mac?
I mean, obviously, when you get a new coach, it takes a couple years to adjust.
Right.
So do I think we're going to come out the gates next year, be on fire, entering this new conference with the new head coach?
Yeah.
I could be hopeful. I mean,
gonna be tough.
we're in the DFW area. We could bring in a lot of good recruits. But overall, yeah, I mean, like what Drew was saying, the defensive schemes that he's been a part of and just the coaching positions he's been in, I would say he'll be great for us.
Yeah. Drew?
I think so right off the bat. I mean, the fact that he's been here, he's been around, he knows exactly what to do when he steps in. I don't really think we're going to miss too much of a beat, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, McCaslin is amazing, right?
Right.
And we're really going to miss him, but how much are we really going to miss, right? Because Hodge is stepping in, and Hodge has been his right-hand man for, like you said, 2017, almost 6 seasons now, right?
Yeah.
So he's been there, he's done that, so now he just is going to step in with this new team. He knows exactly what to do. In the AAC, we look at them basketball-wise, they're not quite as strong as they are football-wise.
Right.
I don't really think, besides maybe the Shockers, Wichita State Shockers, I don't really think there's a whole lot of competition. Memphis Tigers,
Memphis, yep.
Temple has been decent this
Temple's
season.
been solid.
There's a lot of teams moving to the Big 12, such as Houston, UCF, Cincinnati,
Yeah.
that we're not going to have to play.
Right.
We may be able to be really successful in this conference because look at CUSA. I mean, a couple of these
The
teams
triple
are moving,
crowning
but,
coming.
I mean, CUSA might be tougher than AAC.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Really?
All right, let's pose that question.
Yeah.
Is Conference USA currently a better basketball conference than the American? Mac, do you think so?
I think so. I
Yeah.
mean, FAU, relevant. North Texas,
Well,
relevant.
relevant.
Shoot,
Yeah.
even Charlotte winning the CBI,
That's right.
that's still
UAB.
relevant. That's,
Be relevant.
something to keep your name in people's mouths, like
Yeah.
keep them talking about you. And you just look at what Dusty May has done with FAU, what Grant McCaslin has done here. You don't really hear people talking about the American like that,
Yeah.
especially
really
in
don't.
basketball.
I
Football,
mean-
maybe yes, but basketball, I think CUSA is where it's at this year.
Memphis was the only team from the American to make it,
And
and
they
they
lost
lost
to the
first round
CUSA.
to FAU, CUSA team. Drew, is Conference USA a better conference than the AAC in basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I really think so. And I know a couple of these teams are moving with us.
Yeah.
Right.
But you look at it like McCaslin got a really big job
Yeah.
at Texas Tech. That's
Yeah.
a big program. Guys, they were in the championship just a few years ago.
Right,
National
exactly.
championship
With
game.
Yeah.
Jared Culver. Like, they were in the championship just a few years ago, and
Right.
how quickly that, McCaslin, it looks so good for the conference, and then maybe Dusty May gets a job. in the
Yeah.
Power
I think
Five.
so.
I think he might. So
Yeah.
then you look at that, and you look at how good that looks for the CUSA, and the teams that are maybe towards the bottom, Charlotte, Rice, there's some teams that could be really competitive when we leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this conference can still be good, even without us, right?
Right.
So it just is a testament to how good CUSA is and how underrated it is.
Right.
Yeah,
Call it
absolutely.
the Power 7 at this point,
Call it the
right?
Power
Right,
7.
exactly.
So I want to pose a question. This UNT athletics is really getting an overhaul. We're seeing a new head coach for football, new head coach for men's basketball, new head coach for women's basketball. Out of those three, which do you think was the best hire? Drew, tell me.
It's tough to say. It really is, because I just don't know what Eric Morris is going to look like.
Yeah.
Right? I just don't know. He did a really good job with Cameron Ward over at Wazoo. Like, I have high hopes.
Yeah.
However, I do think that Hodge being here and being around and being a part of this Mean Green program for years, like, I think that's probably got to be my best.
Yeah. Mac.
I got to go with Ross Hodge. He's been with the program. He knows what we do around here. And also, you look at him, he's got those JUCO connections. Who else brought in guys from JUCO and took them to the NIT tournament?
Yep.
Right.
Grant McCaslin.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're getting a very similar coach.
Yeah.
I think we're getting more of a defensive mind, which honestly I'm not mad about. I think you can have a worse offense if you keep that better defense, because I think that helps us in the NIT. Yeah,
we've
exactly.
seen it firsthand. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you guys. I think Ross Hodge takes the award away from me. So when we come back, we're going to talk about our favorite moments from CUSA this season, so don't go anywhere.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, so we have to watch the next one before next class, right?
We do?
I think so, but it's not on Netflix and it's not on Hulu, so
Man, I don't want to pay for that.
so what do we do?
You think there's a place we could go to get the movie?
I'm not sure, maybe?
Oh, there's a place to get the movie.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, it's right here on campus. Come on, I'll show you.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
Why should you join Talons?
We are very welcoming to people who may be a little bit hesitant. There's people currently right now in our organization who are in leadership positions who were hesitant before to join, and they found out that they just love the organization and wanted to be a bigger part of it. They post about the football games, everything they're doing, all their events that they host.
What's the best part about Talons?
I would say meeting new people, because the university, while it's a kind of small campus in terms of like physical land, there's a ton of people here. And so getting to meet all these people who have so much school spirit and love for this university and wants to spread that to other people, it's kind of like a little miniature family that we're in.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Jake Levine. I'm with Mackenzie Freeman and Drew Maurer, same people as 20 minutes ago. And we are going to talk about our favorite moments from Conference USA this season. Boy, what an incredible season, guys.
Yeah.
What an incredible season, men's and women's basketball. Start with number 5, go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My number 5 moment from this season is just in general, Middle Tennessee women's just being ranked for a few weeks there, you know?
Yeah.
Nationally recognized before they started to lose a couple in-conference games. I think that's got to do it for me. I mean, this team was really special, even though they got blown out in March Madness.
Right.
It was cool to see them get that national recognition in the middle season. Mac, what's your number 5 moment of the year?
I'm going, this UAB-UNT rivalry, especially since we're both going into this next conference, is going to be great. So my number 5 is going to be the UNT-UAB double overtime game at home. I was at that game.
Yeah.
The energy in there, getting that win over UAB was just something else.
That game was insane.
It was great.
Yeah, Drew.
Well, first of all, I have an honorable mention. Okay,
Oh.
four men's teams from CUSA went to the Final Four of their respective tournament.
Right.
How incredible is that?
That's
I mean, that could be a top 5 moment in itself. But my top 5 moment is Grant McCaslin being hired by Texas Tech, a Power 5 school hiring a CUSA coach.
Right.
Haven't seen it in a long time. I think the last time that I can think of was when Memphis was in the CUSA and John Calipari to Kentucky.
Yep.
Right.
So it was kind of unrivaled in the last few years. But I think that was huge for the conference. Grant McCaslin going to, now he's a nationally recognized name, right?
Right.
And so I think that is such a big moment. I know it's not a game or a shot or anything like that, but I think it's just as important.
Right.
I think it's just as significant for CUSA, and it's going to be really, really cool to see him take that program and run with it. I know he's going to.
Right.
I agree. That is a good one. Very good move for the conference. Good look for UNT. Number 4, I'm going with Abu Usman's 38-point outburst against UTSA Roadrunners in the first game of conference play this season. That game was incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What a way to kick off conference play
Right.
for Abu. And that kind of set a precedent for him this season, I feel like. And that was just really good to see. And I remember looking at the box score after, I'm like, man,
38
who is
points?
that that scored 38?
Yeah.
That's not Tyler. That's not Tyler at Guides. Abu Usman. Appreciate
Right.
you, Abu. Mac, what's the number 4 moment?
I'm actually going to go with a specific player's game here. Tamisha Lampkin, 29-point game
That was a good
against
one.
UTSA in overtime. We got not in overtime. We got the win by 2. And we had like a very streaky time before that game, and I think Lampkin showing out for that was so great.
No doubt.
Yeah, that was awesome. Drew, number
Well, my
4.
number four, somewhere we were there, guys. The Middle Tennessee and FAU game in the CUSA.
That game was
Right.
insane.
I mean,
was crazy.
it could have been that we were there, right? It could have
Right.
been that, but that game, I was like on the edge of my seat.
Right,
It was
yeah.
crazy.
I remember
And
that.
it wasn't even like a Mean Green game. And I
Could
was
you
like,
imagine if FAU got knocked off
Right?
there?
And
Yeah.
now they're in the Final Four.
Right, exactly.
I think that's part of the reason why that's such a big moment for
Yeah.
me. Like, it wasn't like a huge game by any means. I mean, it's not going to be talked about after like.
Right.
But
Right.
that was like, you look at that and like you said, Mac, had it gone their other direction, because Middle Tennessee was up for a while. Had it
Right.
gone the other direction,
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't be in the Final Four. They wouldn't
Probably
even be
not.
in the tournament.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
They could have gotten that large bid, but they were
They
a 9
could've.
seed as a conference winner.
Right.
Yeah.
They clearly don't
So
like
that could-
Conference USA at larges.
Exactly.
So
that
maybe
could've
not.
changed- that could have changed our
I
trajectory.
agree. We were there for that. I remember we were
were.
standing there, and I was like, whoa. You shot it
Where
from
did this
half
come
court. Man, that game was crazy. Number 3 moment. Charlotte wins the CBI. I think that's really cool
So
for
am
this
I.
team. You know, this team, they beat UNT, which was a huge win late in the season. They showed a lot of promise this year. I think next year they could really compete in the American if they keep the recruiting up, especially them winning this tournament.
Right.
It was really good for that athletic program there over at Charlotte, my hometown. I have to throw it out there. Mac, what's number 3?
Number 3, I'm going UTSA women's beating Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
You already hinted at them having such a successful season, making it to March Madness. But Josiah Jackson had 20 points in that game, and Middle Tennessee, who was pretty efficient from beyond the arc, only scored 18% of their threes. So I'm going to have to make that my number 3.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Jake, same number 3 for me.
Yeah.
Charlotte beats Eastern Kentucky and wins the CBI. That was huge, though. Like, let's be honest, that was huge because, like I said earlier, 4 teams from the CUSA went to the Final Four or further in their respective tournament.
Right.
That's one of them, right?
Right.
And Charlotte wasn't even a team that like we looked at and we were like, that's a scary team, right? That was a team
Right.
that was in the middle of our conference. You know, one that we didn't even get to play them in the CUSA tournament.
They
got
lost
knocked
first
out.
round.
Yeah.
They lost first round. And for them to go on to win the CBI, and then for us to win the NIT, and you know whatever FAU does, right? They
Right.
win the final. They win the championship or whatever they do. That was kind of what got the ball rolling in terms of that. So
Yeah.
I think that was a huge moment.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
2-point game too. It's a good game.
Yeah,
Right.
they almost blew a huge lead, I
did.
think.
Oh, yeah.
They were up by like 20
Eastern
something.
Kentucky too. I mean, like
Yeah. Zoinks.
right.
All right, number 2 moment of the year for Mr. Jake is FAU beating Kansas State and going to the Final Four. This was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, Kansas State looked unbeatable. The teams they were
Deontay
beating.
Johnson.
I mean,
No
my
look,
goodness.
alley oops.
Right,
Like, what
exactly.
else can they do, right?
And gotta make you think, can FAU win the national championship?
know.
We'll talk about it next segment.
I don't know.
But can they do it? I really do think so. This game proved a lot to me about FAU.
Right.
You know, they just it proved that they really can compete in this NCAA tournament. And you know what it also proved? There should be more than one team from this conference in this tournament.
Fair.
Absolutely it should be.
It's
I
not
think
2.
I think it should be UNT and UAB in this conference. I think all 3 could have won a game, but oh well. Mackenzie, what is your number 2 moment?
I'm actually going to join you on the FAU train. I'm going to go with them beating Memphis in the first round. Just because it was such a back and forth game. And this is what started their March Madness Cinderella story. Now they're in the Final Four. if they would have lost that game, we wouldn't be sitting here so excited about
right.
CUSA.
Enthralled in them.
Yeah, exactly. Having a possibility to win this triple crown. And Dusty May being head coach of the year, I think he deserves the position he's in.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, guys, don't hate me. This is my number 2. UNT beats UAB for the NIT title.
That's so
It's my number
tragic.
2. I know.
That's
You
so
guys are like,
tragic.
why not number 1? Let me explain. We'll get to my number 1 in a little bit. But UNT beating UAB was huge, right? Like I said, after we beat Wisconsin, going up against UAB again, I was like, I think we got it. I really do. I mean, UAB gave us a good fight, especially in this USA tournament, but like, I was fairly confident. We beat 2 Power 5 teams. Like that, record aside, like those teams were not what they've been this season. They weren't the caliber that they've gotten to in the past. But still Power 5 schools that we beat, right? And that's huge. That's huge for the school. And advancing and beating UAB for the NIT title, that's just amazing. I mean, that and winning the CBI just a few years ago, really, really, really big moments for UNT. And part of the reason that Grant McCaslin's getting a Power 5 job is
Absolutely.
This.
I think it is probably the reason why Grant McCaslin got that job, UNT going to the NIT and winning it. Number 1 moment of the year for Conference USA, the University of North Texas Mean Green win the National Invitation Tournament last night against UAB Blazers in their 4th time playing them. This was an instant classic.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler Perry and Kai Hunsberry, man, you guys rule.
Right.
You guys rule. I mean, thank you so much for showing out for us. That game was so entertaining, and I really couldn't ask for a better end of the season.
Right.
Mac, same.
It's going to be the same as you, but I kind of want to add on to it because Drew emphasized, we beat Oklahoma State and beat Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wisconsin didn't have the best season, but they were one of the teams that were talked about as a possibility as being one of the first 4 in. So going in there up against, Stephen Crow and Connor Estesian and beating them to put us in that position to win the NIT, I think overall just our performance in the NIT is a moment that was just great.
Yeah, before I get into my number 1, I wanted to add on that. Wisconsin being in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how good the Big Ten was
Yeah,
this year?
exactly.
Like, the Big
I was
Ten
more
incredible.
nervous about the Wisconsin
way too
game than
many
the
teams in the
UAB
tournament.
That's
game.
what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Like the fact that we went out there and we beat Wisconsin, we held them scoreless for 9 minutes.
Right.
13 points in the half.
that's
I just think they had more depth than what UAB had, and
I do
so,
too. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I just thought the whole journey with the NIT was just something to celebrate.
No doubt. Yeah. My number 1, FAU advancing to the Final Four. I think that beating Kansas State was huge. I know UNT winning the NIT is big too, but like I said, this could get Dusty May a job in Power 5 as well. And they're going to the Final Four.
Yeah.
A CUSA team that everyone had getting knocked out by Memphis in the first round is in the Final Four, right? That's like, I don't think that you could have asked for a better send-off from these CUSA teams.
Right.
And FAU, I think FAU is just, I know that, rivals and everything, but we just have to be so proud of them and how they've represented our conference, even as we're leaving, that it's just, I think that's my favorite moment for CUSA. If we're talking strictly CUSA,
Right.
I think that's got to be the best moment, especially if they go out there and they win the championship.
Now,
That would be insane.
FAU is joining us in the American, right?
They will be.
Yes.
Along with 4 other teams joining the 2 of us. Anyways, when we come back, we're going to talk about the men's Final Four and do some game predictions, so do not go anywhere.
And now we return to Fabric of Passion.
Oh, Hector, it will be so hard for us to part, but we must.
But, my love, what did I do? I thought we were meant to be together forever.
I am so disheartened to say that you're just not in style anymore. But you will be, to someone else, in a better place.
You're gonna shred me?
No.
I'm donating you to one of the many clothing donation boxes available on campus. There is one in the Union by the Syndicate and one on Union Circle Drive.
Oh, well, why didn't you just say so? I'm gonna be someone's new shirt.
I thought you'd be more distressed.
Oh, absolutely not. It was cramped in your closet anyways.
Maybe you would like to be shredded after all.
What does Talons do?
So I am the Vice President of External Relations for Talents. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a Mean Green machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNC pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the Mean Green machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until Build Week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day, everyone. The men's Final Four is about to start. March Madness is at its peak. What a month of March, guys.
It's been crazy. This has been one of my favorite
March.
March Madness.
So these Final Four teams, FAU, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn, insane seeding. The best team is a 4 seed.
Yeah.
You've got a 4, a 5, a 5, and a 9.
And no blue bloods.
And no blue bloods.
None. I mean, UConn, you could argue.
I don't think they're a blue blood.
It's the specific types of blue.
Right.
True. Yeah.
I have to ask you guys, is this the most unpredicted Final Four?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yes.
In your
Yes.
lifetime?
Yeah.
No 1 seed being in the Final Four is something that, like, most people aren't going to predict in their bracket. They're going to have at least one number 1 seed in their
Right.
Final Four. So this has just been a
No 1 seed, no
bracket
2 seed, no
buster.
3 seed.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
craziest Final Four
Exactly.
Drew, is this the craziest Final Four in your lifetime?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was like the Loyola Chicago Final Four was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought like, oh, one underrated team making it. No, 4
Yeah.
teams that no one had. I mean,
Elite 8 teams.
I will say I had Miami in the Final Four all along.
Hey, now.
I did. I will show you the proof.
That's very good.
But other than, I mean, I didn't think UConn was legit. I didn't think FAU and
Yeah,
San
right.
Diego State was making this far. So
I have Furman beating San Diego State.
yeah. Well, I had them getting knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You
I
know?
was wrong. I was
What a
wrong.
year. What a year. That's all I have to say.
Right.
So we're going to preview this first game. The Florida Atlantic Owls are in the Final Four, and they're playing the San Diego State Aztecs. One of these two teams is going to be in the national championship game.
Yeah.
A group of 5 schools is going to be a national championship game, guaranteed. Either Mountain West or CUSA, and both are the only representative from their conference.
Right.
Incredible. So, Drew,
Yeah.
who's going to win this game?
Yeah. I have FAU. I
Yes.
honestly, final score prediction: FAU 71, San Diego State 65.
Okay. Pretty
So
close.
here's the thing: I don't think San Diego State has had nearly the pathway that FAU has had to have.
Yeah.
To get Fairleigh Dickinson, but Kansas State, arguably, I thought they were going to win it all for a second there. I mean, like, you look at what San Diego State had. Arguably, they shouldn't have beat Creighton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys watch like they shouldn't have beat Creighton,
Right.
Right. But you look at what FAU's had to go through, being a 9 seed, playing Memphis, playing Kansas State, like I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like the road has been significantly tougher. And I just don't know that that San Diego State has enough gas left in the tank to beat this red-hot FAU team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Mac, who's winning this game?
I'm gonna have to disagree. I have San Diego State winning. I know we've been
Tragic.
loving on CUSA, and as much as I want to see FAU go to the championship as a 9 seed, I really do think San Diego State has this in the bag. My score prediction: 68-63. I think it's gonna be a really close game. Both defenses are really good. San Diego State, though, they've been holding teams to 57.3 points in the postseason and 17% from three-pointers. And also, I think where San Diego State has the upper hand is actually the coaching experience in the tournament. From 2009 to 2015, they went into the tournament 6 consecutive years.
Yeah.
And then their current head coach was under the coach that took them into those 6 consecutive March Madness tournaments.
Right.
So he's been here, he's done that. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to go with San Diego.
And San Diego State almost had an undefeated season a few years ago.
Right.
I believe they lost to UNLV or something as their first loss. Anyways, I am picking the Florida Atlantic Owls to win this game. This is because I think they're more battle tested. Although San Diego State beat the best team in the tournament, I believe it was Alabama.
Right.
They then played a 12 seed and a 13 seed to get there. You know, I just feel like FAU has had the experience against these top teams to actually get there. Fairleigh Dickinson, whatever. But, you know, I mean,
they beat Purdue, so don't knock them off.
What I'm saying is I think Kansas State could have beat Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Kansas State was better than Alabama.
And here's the thing: is San Diego State went up against an Alabama whose Brandon Miller was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that they were playing good defense on him; he was just nowhere. Like he wasn't. It was like he wasn't even in the game.
Right.
I mean, I don't think he made what, like 1 or 2 shots in the tournament.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that is just like for a guy that's gonna go number 2, number 3 overall in the NBA draft. That's just really disappointing.
I saw a
really
stat that said he had the worst shooting percentage in the history of anyone to play in a March Madness tournament.
Wow.
That's exactly what I'm saying, though. I just don't think that San Diego State has been battle tested like FAU has.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think the FAU Owls are going to the national championship game. Anyways, we're going to move on to, my score prediction, 73-68. FAU wins it. We all said it's going to be a close game at least. You know?
It's going to be a close game.
Definitely going
I
to be
feel like we all have the same spread, too.
Yeah.
All
I think
around
it was
that
5.
5-6 mark.
Yep, definitely. So, number 5, Miami versus number 4, UConn. Jim Larinaga versus Dan Hurley. Showing down 5 versus 4 seed. I am going to go with the UConn Huskies. The way they played against Gonzaga was ridiculous. They blew them out. And I think that they could blow this team out too. My final score prediction, 87-72. UConn's offense is ridiculous. I think Dan Hurley is a really good coach, really fiery coach, you know what I mean? I think UConn's going to the final, or going to the championship game. Kenzie, who you got?
I'm actually going to go with Miami. Now, we've talked about how insane March Madness has been. The votes are currently 23% of people in favor of Miami, but this Miami team, they kind of have a lot of depth. You have Isaiah Wong, who's averaging 16 points per game. He had a 27-point game in the postseason, as well as Jordan Miller. Yes, you've got to look at the UConn players, give them credit. Jordan Hawkins, Andre Jackson. But I feel like we talked about them having hot hands, and UConn's been playing at a level that I could see them dropping off after that huge win. You know, Sean talked about on the show, the pressure of a game like that, coming off of that, it's hard to get back in it. And so I think Miami has this one in the bag.
Interesting. Drew?
I'm going to go with Miami. 88-85 overtime.
Whoa, this is an overtime prediction.
Guys, whatever the score is, overtime, double overtime, no overtime, it's going to be a freaking score fest.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just get ready for that because, like you said, Isaiah Wong is he turns his team from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like, Isaiah Wong, I have never seen another spark plug like him since, like, Jalen Brunson, right? In Villanova. It's really, really nice to see Isaiah Wong playing like this as a guy who's been pretty underrated throughout his entire career. Jim Larinaga, another coach that's been really underrated throughout his career. I feel like this Miami team is just underrated and just waiting for their chance to strike and possibly win the championship.
Yeah.
It will be quite a game. Both these games, I mean, that's all we've got to say. That's what we can all agree on with this.
Yeah.
Both games are going to be incredible. That brings us to the national championship game. Houston, Texas is site. NRG Stadium. True.
The most exciting game in the NRG Stadium this year.
Yeah. Who is winning the national championship?
I'm going to have to go with Miami.
Wow.
I'm going to go with Miami 78-69. I mean, FAU is going to put up a nice fight, but I don't know that Miami is stoppable.
Right.
They are unstoppable. I mean, you look at them against the Hoosiers. You look at them against, they were a game against Drake, kind of an anomaly. But you look at them against Indiana. You look at them against everyone else who they've played. It's just like this team, when they put their foot on the gas pedal, when Isaiah Wong is like, when he puts his head down, he's going 90 miles an hour.
And courtesy of Sean, all gas on the brakes.
All gas on the brakes.
Right.
That's how this Miami team is. Like, if they get hot, there is no cooling off.
Yeah.
Like with the Mean Green, they kind of cool off. They'll get hot. They'll cool off. No, this Miami team, when they get hot, it doesn't stop. Right. So it's going to be the Florida Showdown.
Right.
It's going to be the Florida Showdown, and I think Miami pulls it out.
I'm going to have to agree. I think Miami is my favorite for the championship. I just see if Miami makes it to the championship, I think they beat FAU or San Diego State. I think Miami versus UConn is actually the game that I'm like, I kind of wish that was the championship
Right,
game.
no doubt.
Because, I don't know, both teams have just been playing incredible. Didn't think they were going to make it here. But like Drew was saying, this Miami team, they're dangerous. If they go from 0 to 100, they're not stopping. They're, pummeling you into the ground. So I'm going Miami.
It is interesting. I did see on ESPN that they think Miami has the worst chance to win the national championship.
That is true.
And they think that UConn had like a 54%
They also
chance.
ranked Purdue as a number 1 seed.
That's
so.
a very good point. I am picking the Florida Atlantic Owls to win the 2023 NCAA National
If that
Championship.
happens, USA love though.
I think they can do it. Look, they're going to be underdogs if they play UConn, which I did predict they would play UConn. They're going to be underdogs in that game. I think they'll be probably 6-7 point underdogs, according to Vegas. But this team, like we said, they're just battle tested,
Right.
I really think that they could get it done when the time comes, if they get to the national championship game. So yeah, I'm going to say Florida Atlantic has pretty good defense in the national championship, beats UConn 81-68.
81-68.
I think they beat them 81-68. I think.
You think they beat UConn by more than 10?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think Florida Atlantic wins the national championship by double
We'll
digits.
play this on our next show after this.
I'm keeping the receipts.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the Owls. I think they're gonna do it. Plus, we have to represent them. You
Yeah.
know, like we have to.
There's levels to it though.
Okay, last part. Who's your favorite coach left in Final Four? Drew, who's your favorite coach left?
Jim Larinaga, the GOAT.
Yeah, it's gotta be Jim Larinaga.
The GOAT. You watch this man interview, he's just so cool.
He's like Greg Popovich.
He's like
Yeah.
70, but he's cool. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just like him. I really do think Jim Larinaga has, I think he could be the coach of the year, especially if they win.
Yeah.
If they win it all. I mean, I know they underperformed in the ACC championship. They should have won it against Duke. But I think they've had an amazing year, and they haven't been talked about.
Right.
This team was like hovering in the 15-10 range for a majority of the season.
Yeah.
And no one was talking about them even making it past the second round. In fact, a lot of people took Drake as the upset.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think the fact that Jim Larinaga is, taking this team to the Final Four is just a testament for sure.
Yeah, Mac.
I mean, gotta give CUSA love. Dusty May. He
Dusty
already
May,
won
for sure.
Conference USA Coach of the Year. He takes this team the farthest they've ever been in March Madness. He deserves, he
I
deserves
agree.
to be that favorite coach position.
I believe in Dusty May as well. When we come back, we're going to talk about the same exact stuff, but for the women's NCAA tournament, so stay with us.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
Are you feeling okay? No, I've been feeling gross all week.
Maybe we should go get a COVID test.
But I already have all 3 of my shots.
Yeah, but you can still get it. I mean, maybe we should go get one just in case.
Yeah, you're right. We have that party and all that.
Yeah.
Where do we even get tested here?
Let me check.
You can find free COVID testing sites at the University Union, room 381 on weekdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on weekends, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., and at Chestnut Hall, room 120 from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. You have to show the QR code given to you when you arrive for an appointment. Tests take no longer than 10 minutes to complete. Results will be sent through text or email within the next 48 hours.
I got a negative COVID test. Me too. Oh my god, let's go to the party. Yes. Let's go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Jake Levine. I am joined by Mackenzie Freeman and Drew Maurer, and we are going to talk about the women's Final Four. These games are going to be in Dallas or in Arlington in the Jerry World Cowboy Stadium.
In 19 minutes.
Right. 19 minutes. And we are going to have some incredible games on our hands.
Yeah.
First off, number 3 seeded LSU, maybe the best 3 seed of all time, versus number 1 seed Virginia Tech. I am picking LSU to win this game. I think Angel Reese is just going to be too dominant. Oh, yeah. Coming out of the SEC, they're really battle tested against South Carolina, I think.
Right.
And I don't see how they're a 3 seed. You know what I mean?
Right.
A team with that many wins and that much firepower and a player like Angel Reese, how are they a 3 seed? I think they should be a 2 seed. Anyways, I'm picking them to beat Virginia Tech, go to national championship. Mackenzie, who's winning this?
I'm also going with LSU too. I've talked about Kim Mulkey all year, and Virginia Tech is a really solid team. They've got a couple of 6-footers. They've got Elizabeth Kitley, who's 6'6", and they have 6'2" forward Greg. And this team, they're just well structured. But I think Kim Mulkey, with the experience that she has with Baylor and Angel Reese, like you were talking about, I think LSU takes this.
Yeah.
I agree. I think LSU wins 72-65, and like you said, Angel Reese MVP. I mean, she's just been incredible all year long, especially after transferring in. I think that she's been exactly what this team needed, and I think this team is going to go to the championship, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I really do.
And how about this? We're all 3 picking against the number 1 seed.
We are.
Win the game. I mean,
that's because LSU deserved to be ranked higher.
Of course. I think that's a problem with the seeding, not a problem with us.
Right.
So next game, very, very highly anticipated game. Number 1 seed, South Carolina Gamecocks. They are 36-0. 36 wins, 0 losses against number 2 Iowa, Caitlin Clark, ready to ball out. Guys.
It's going to be 36-1 after tonight.
Drew, tell me about it.
Because Caitlin Clark is her, and she's going to put up a fight against this team in double overtime, 88-86 Iowa. I'm calling it now. I know Don Staley's had it all year long. However, I think this Iowa team is scorching. You were making the point the other day that this team doesn't have anyone else besides Caitlin Clark. Well, what about the other 2 doubled scorers? One of their players is averaging 17.2 points per game. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's this whole team, and they are unstoppable on offense. Kind of like Miami on the men's side. I think Iowa is very similar in their stature, and I think Caitlin Clark's going to take over. Might go for a 30-40 bomb.
Woo!
I don't know, man.
I gotta say something. Shooting in a football stadium too. I've heard that when they have the Final Four, they don't shoot as well because the sidelines are weird and stuff. You think she's still gonna have the same kind of game?
I mean, she's been on fire the entire tournament. I don't see why not.
Of course. All right, Mac, tell me about it.
I'm gonna go South Carolina.
You have to.
You mentioned that they're 36-0, but they're also on a 42-game win streak dating back to last season.
Games.
And they've been in the Final Four, multiple times in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Aaliyah Boston, she's an insane player.
Absolutely.
You look at some of their other players. Zaya Cook, she's averaging 15 points, and she's kind of been overlooked because the hype has been around Aaliyah Boston. But Zaya Cook, 15 points, 2 assists a game. She's getting in there and she's doing what a guard needs to do.
Absolutely.
And yes, Caitlin Clark, I think, will drop her 20 or 30 points. But
I like that smirk.
I just think that South Carolina has more depth than what Iowa does. I know that you said, 3 of them are averaging in double digits, but you just look at the composure of this South Carolina team. They're not just beating teams by 2 points. They're beating them by 15 points. They have the largest point spread margin. So I got to go with South Carolina. They look unstoppable.
This South Carolina team is just like, I've never really seen dominance like this in basketball. Like men's basketball, it reminds me a lot of like Oklahoma in softball last year. Remember these guys? They were just like
in women's basketball just a few years ago.
True. I mean, they're the next UConn that everyone remembers growing up. They're them. Like they blow everybody out, and they are gonna blow out the Iowa Hawkeyes. South Carolina's gonna improve to 37-0. Nobody's going to contain Aaliyah Boston. I'm not too concerned about Caitlin Clark, actually. I think Zaya Cook and her just kind of trade baskets sort of deal. No one's going to contain Aaliyah Boston.
Right.
I think they could win by 20+, actually, over Iowa. Iowa's in the Big Ten. I just don't believe in them.
Right.
I don't believe in the Big Ten.
I feel like one thing that we have to appreciate though is this has been one of the most exciting women's basketball seasons that we've seen in a long time.
Yes.
UConn's not in the Final Four. Tennessee's not in the Final
Two
Four.
one seeds lost early.
Right. I'm a fan of Tennessee and the history behind that team, but UConn's not in it. Tennessee's not in it. Stanford's not in it.
It's incredible.
Notre Dame's not in it. And then you have players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Aaliyah Boston, who are bringing so much hype to women's basketball this year.
You gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. That brings us to the national championship game in Arlington, Texas. Jerry World. Drew, I want to hear it.
Hawkeyes.
I don't believe it.
Hawkeyes.
All right.
I've got the Iowa Hawkeyes 78-73 against the LSU Tigers. I just don't, like I said, I think Caitlin Clark has been hot all year, but also, like I was saying earlier, Cisnano and their other players are just going crazy, and I just don't know that they're going to be stoppable on the offensive end. I don't. You can't prove it to me unless it happens. Right. So I think they're going to win against LSU, and I think they're going to complete. Caitlin Clark and her game winners all year long, and her averaging almost 30 points. It's going to come to fruition in this final game, and I think that she's really going to solidify herself as a top pick in next year's draft.
Part of me kind of hopes you're right, and I'm wrong, because I think that'd be really cool for college basketball.
Because like Aaliyah Boston, like we talked about Aaliyah Boston, she's probably going to be the first overall pick this year in the WNBA draft.
Right.
But then Caitlin Clark's got one more year of eligibility, and then she might be the number 1 pick. Like
Right.
we're seeing two juggernauts go at it tonight, and I think that I think we could really see Caitlin Clark solidify herself as the top pick.
Right.
Kenzie, who's winning it?
So, in my world where it's LSU versus South Carolina, I'm going South Carolina.
Right.
But if Iowa does get the win over South Carolina, I'm going Iowa all the way. LSU is a good team, but I don't think they're anywhere near what Caitlin Clark and that team at Iowa is. I mean, Iowa's they're so fun to watch because Caitlin Clark brings that energy. Not saying that Angel Reese doesn't, but I just think there's more fire there.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but in my world, again, where it's South Carolina versus LSU, gotta go with the South Carolina Gamecocks. I'm not going to root against this team that has been dominant for multiple years now, literally in a row, 42 games in a row won. I don't think they're stopping now, and I don't think they're stopping anytime soon.
Yeah.
The recruiting's only going to get better, and I think they're going to win another national championship this weekend in Arlington, Texas. I think it has to happen. I think it's fate. I don't think this team loses. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Mean Green Game Day. What a season for UNT basketball. What a season for college basketball in general. And we will see you next Friday for another episode, and have a great weekend.